A green monster lives alone in a swamp. He eats bugs, bathes in mud, and scares away anyone who comes near him. The townspeople hate him. The king wants him gone. And the only person willing to spend time with him is a talking donkey who quite literally cannot take a hint. Now, if I described that movie to you right now, and told you it came out in 2001, you'd probably say, "Oh yeah, that sounds like a Guillermo del Toro film." But no, that's Shrek, a movie that was sold to us as a fairy tale comedy for children, and somehow, we just accepted it. Today we are going to fix that mistake, because Shrek is a horror movie, and the evidence has been sitting in front of us this whole time. Before we get into it, let's be clear about what Shrek actually is, on paper. Released by DreamWorks in 2001, directed by Andrew Adamson and Vicky Jensen, Shrek was marketed as a fairy tale parody. It made over $484 million at the box office. It won the first ever Oscar for Best Animated Feature. It had an all-star soundtrack that literally rewired an entire generation's brains. And it is, without question, deeply, profoundly disturbing. Now, I'm not saying the filmmakers set out to make a horror movie. I think what actually happened is far more interesting. They were trying to make a subversive fairy tale. They wanted to flip the genre inside out. But in doing so, in making the monster the hero, the handsome prince the villain, and the happily ever after deeply unconventional, they accidentally created something that, if you look at it with fresh eyes, plays like a psychological horror film with jokes. Let me show you exactly what I mean. Point 1. The world of Shrek is a place where the rules of reality have completely broken down. Think about Far, Far Away for a second. Really think about it. Fairy tale creatures, who are supposedly fictional, remember, exist in this world as real, living beings. They have legal rights. They pay taxes. They apparently have enough political organization to be exiled by a king. But humans also exist in this world. Normal humans. Who built cities. And have kingdoms. And wear normal clothes. So the question is, what is the relationship between humans and fairy tale creatures in this world? How long have they coexisted? Do they have a shared history? Were there wars? The movie never answers this. It just presents it. As if it's fine. As if the existence of sentient gingerbread men with feelings and a backstory is completely unremarkable. And here's where the horror kicks in, because the movie asks you to just accept the world without explanation. Like a dream. Or a nightmare. In a horror film, the scariest thing isn't the monster. It's when the rules of reality stop working and no one around you seems to notice. In Shrek, a fairy tale character called Lord Farquaad, a man who is somehow both a tyrant and a joke, rounds up the fairy tale creatures and sends them to a swamp. Like a camp. Like a purge. And the movie plays this for laughs. If you were a child, you laughed. If you're watching it now, that's ethnic cleansing. With a flute soundtrack. Point 2. Lord Farquaad is not a comic villain. He's a genuinely terrifying human being. Let me remind you what this man does in the movie. He runs a police state where fairy tale creatures are hunted, captured, and forcibly relocated. He tortures the gingerbread man for information, and the torture scene is played as comedy, but Jingy's legs are ripped off. His legs are ripped off. And he screams. Farquaad then watches interrogation footage of this, while eating, and smiles. He refuses to go on a quest himself because he values his own life over everyone else's. So he holds a tournament, which involves actual men fighting and presumably dying, to select a champion to go die for him instead. His entire motivation for marrying Princess Fiona is not love. It is bureaucratic legitimacy. He needs to be married to a princess to be declared a king. He says this out loud. He is marrying a woman purely as a political transaction, without her knowledge or consent. And the movie's response to all of this is, isn't he short? That's the joke. He's short. Ha ha. Meanwhile, this man is running a fascist mini-state with a torture program and a forced displacement policy. Lord Farquaad is not a children's villain. He is a Cormac McCarthy villain who wandered into the wrong franchise. Point 3. Shrek's emotional arc, when you understand it as an adult, is not heartwarming. It's heartbreaking. Shrek has built his entire identity around being alone. He has constructed, physically constructed, a life that keeps people away. Fences, signs, mud baths that smell bad. He has optimized his existence for isolation. And when we first meet him, he seems fine with this. He seems happy, even. He sings in the morning. He has a routine. But the movie slowly reveals, through small moments, that the isolation is not a choice he made from confidence. It's a wound he built a wall around. There's a scene late in the film where Shrek overhears Fiona and Donkey talking. He misunderstands what's said. And without asking a single question, without trying to clarify, he shuts down completely. He goes back to being alone. Because that's what he knows. That's what feels safe. A confident person asks. A hurt person retreats. Shrek retreats. Every time. That's not a fairy tale arc. That's a therapy arc. That is what unprocessed rejection trauma looks like in a person who learned early that the world didn't want them. The horror isn't monsters or darkness. It's watching someone you care about choose isolation again, because they genuinely believe they deserve it. Here's the thing though. Here's the part one thing people miss. Shrek being a horror movie is not a flaw. It's the whole point. DreamWorks made a movie for children that hid the truth of the world inside a comedy. The fairy tale surface was always a wrapper for something messier and more real. Farquaad is a satire of every petty authoritarian who compensates for insecurity with cruelty. The nonsensical world is a satire of how arbitrary social rules actually are. And Shrek's loneliness is not a problem to be solved. It's a condition to be understood. The movie is horror because life is horror. But it dresses it up in talking donkeys and smash mouth because the only way to get people to look at the hard stuff is to make them laugh first. That's not a bug in the film. That's the most sophisticated storytelling trick in the entire DreamWorks catalog. And we were 7 years old when we watched it, sitting on a living room floor eating cereal, completely unaware that a green ogre was quietly teaching us that the world doesn't make sense, authority figures are often cowards, and the loneliest people are usually the ones who got hurt first. Heavy. Shrek. Very heavy. So, is Shrek a horror movie? Technically, no. Nobody's dying. Nobody's being haunted. There are no jump scares. Well, there's Lord Farquaad. In the bedroom scene. With the magic mirror. That scene is actually a jump scare if you think about it too hard. Don't think about it too hard. But what Shrek is, what it always was, is a film that respects its audience more than it pretends to. Even when that audience was 7. It told us the truth about power, about loneliness, about the gap between how the world is supposed to work and how it actually does. It just wrapped it in a swamp. And now you can never watch it the same way again. You're welcome. Let me know in the comments, what other kids' movie do you think is secretly a horror film? Because I have a list. Subscribe, I'll see you in the next one.